everyone. Today I'll be discussing about reproduction in organisms. So now we'll see what is reproduction in organisms in detail. So one of the important features of living organisms is reproduction, where an organism produces similar young ones during its lifetime. So in this process, every living organism makes a copy of itself. Every organism passes through definite and regular stages of life cycle. It included birth, growth and maturity, reproduction and death. The time or period during which an organism lives, that is from birth to the natural death, represents its lifespan. Lifespans of organisms vary from one another. So now we'll see lifespan of some species. So human beings lives for 65 years. Elephants 65 to 70 years. Parrots 140 years. Mango banyan trees 200 years. Tortoise 200 years. Cattle 20 years. Crow 18 years. Dog 20 years. People tree 2 to 3000 years. So this is approximately. So now we'll see what is reproduction in detail. Okay, definition. Reproduction is defined as a biological process in which an organism gives rise to young ones similar to itself. So, reproduction enables the continuity of all species generation after generation. There is a large diversity in the biological world. Each organism has evolved its own mechanism to multiply and produce offspring. The organism's habitat, its internal physiology, and several other factors were collectively responsible for how it reproduces. Based on whether there is participation of one organism or two in the process of reproduction, it is of two types, namely asexual and sexual reproduction. When offspring is produced by a single parent without involvement of gamete formation, the reproduction is called asexual. When two parents participate in the reproductive process and also involve fusion of male and female gametes, then it is called sexual reproduction. So now we'll see what is asexual reproduction. In the last slide, what we saw as asexual reproduction means it is offspring produced by a single parent without the involvement of gamete formation. That means the reproduction is asexual. So in this method, a single individual is capable of producing offspring. This process usually occurs during favorable conditions with certain exceptions. The offsprings that are produced are not only identical to one another but also copies of their parents. That means they are exact copies of their parent. The process of asexual reproduction does not involve meiosis. Instead, it associates with mitosis. So morphologically and genetically identical individuals produced asexual reproductions are termed as clones. So what we tell is clones we tell. When we tell it is when the individual is morphologically and genetically identical, which is produced from asexual reproduction, and it is termed as clones. And asexual reproduction is common among single-celled organisms and in plants. So in the last slide, we came to know that is what is asexual reproduction. Now we'll see what are the common methods of asexual reproduction. So there are 6 common methods of asexual reproduction. So the first one is binary fission, multiple fission, encystment, budding, fragmentation, spore formation. And in spore formation, there are so many types. In spore formation, there is zoospores, aplanospores, hypnospores, sporangiospores, conidia or conidiospores. So now we'll see what is binary fission. It is the most common method of asexual reproduction in many unicellular organisms. In this, a cell divides into 2 equal sized daughter cells and each daughter cell rapidly grows into adult. In bacteria, what happens is after the process of replication of DNA, genetic material, it is equally distributed to 2 parts of the cells, followed by the formation of a cross wall. It results in the formation of 2 daughter cells. So 2 daughter cells then get separated from each other to form individuals. In members of Protista and Monera, the organism or the parent cell divides into 2 to give rise to new individuals. Thus, in these organisms, cell division is itself a mode of reproduction. Multiple fission. It is the process of formation of many smaller cells due to the division of single parent cell. This is simple. So next is encystment. What is encystment? In amoeba, during an unfavorable condition, a cyst is secreted around the cell and it is called encystment. During favorable conditions, the cell divides to produce large number smaller units which rupture to produce many individuals. Next method of asexual reproduction is budding. So it is the process of formation of new individual has small outgrowth on the surface of the parental body. So in yeast, what happens is the division is unequal and small buds are produced that remain attached initially to the parent cell, which later gets separated and produces new yeast organisms. So in Hydra, an outer growth arises from the body of parent individual and later separates from the parent to produce new individual. The process of bonding is also seen in members of sponge, which leads to the formation of. So the next method is fragmentation. It is the process of formation of young ones due to the formation of fragments of parent body. Each fragment develops into a new individual by further division. It is common in filamentous forms of organisms like algae, mycelial form of fungi, etc. So the last common method of the asexual reproduction is spore formation. So spores are microscopic, haploid, asexual reproductive structures which germinate to produce new individual. These are unicellular structures and may be motile or non-motile. Members of the fungi and algae reproduce by this method of asexual reproductive structures. Different types of spores produced in different groups of organisms are sporangiospores, zoospores, aplonospores and hypnospores, etc. In the next two slides, I've put some questions from NCERT text-based questions. Go through that. Thank you for watching this video.